welcome into another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we do always start this show by being transparent. And I haven't done a show since, what is it? I think Monday. I guess it's slacking off for myself this week. I've been stuck in that poker room, so I just call it how it is. It's taking up a lot of my hours, but I'm learning, I'm winning, and I'll try to find that balance to do a little bit more shows in the week. But still been making some money on these sports. We've cashed every single game so far in the finals, and WNBA though, I say we started off really hot and kind of past couple plays have gone backwards. So we'll try to get back on track in the W, try to keep ourselves on fire in the NBA and find some ways to make some money here on the show. Veno, how have you been? How you doing today?
I'm good, buddy. Friday, heading into the weekend here. I don't, if I go back to the last game between Nuggets Heat, I think I've done shows with you now for the better part of 3.5 years. And I don't say that 5-letter word under very often, but I had to say it the other day, and it made it easy. They made it easy on us, right? That game stayed under with ease. That game, it's nice, Skee, when they play out the way you kind of analyze or figure them to play out. And that game really did play out exactly the way a lot of us thought. And so we move on to game 4 with maybe a little more of a question mark in my mind, but still probably some opportunity here. We'll see.
Always opportunity. There's a play that I really like. There's other plays that I'm leaning, and I'm looking forward to talk them out with you here, Rob. So without further ado, let's get into WNBA for the day. We have 5 games on the slate, and before I even get into it, I'm just going to let you guys know I didn't go too in depth on these games just yet, but I'll share my initial looks and opinions. And Rob, before I get into it, let me just ask you: Have you played? You've played a couple WNBA so far, right? Start the year. I heard you say the other day you had a good day.
Yeah, the other day. Well, I mean, and in my terms, Skee, as somebody who's trying to, figure out the waters here, this year's WNBA, a good day was 1-0 with a push. I actually had the Indiana Fever the other night. Now, again, I know you've told me that we're off of Indiana sucks. We can be on Indiana, and you know what? They were +5 when I got them the other day, and they're up 2 with less than a second left. I think when the layup went in to tie the game, and we wind up with a push. So I'll take it. But the winner was on the over in the Connecticut-Las Vegas game that night. So yeah, I mean, I'm treading lightly, but we're making it work a little bit here.
All right, let's see if we can make it work here today. First game up, we'll go 657, 658. Looking at the New York Liberty facing the Atlanta Dream. Opened up -7 for New York. You see 7 or 7.5 out there right now. Total open 163.5. And I see it right where it opened. No movement there. As far as an injury report, the Liberty are fully healthy. For the Dream, they'll be without Ari McDonald. They'll be without Robinson and Rupert. Both of these teams have a little bit of extended rest now. The Liberty, because their last game got canceled due to the air conditions. How I feel about this is and this is not as big of a point spread as it was the other day versus the Lynx, but I just don't really trust New York to win by margin yet. Like 7.5 is doable, but it's close to expecting them to win by double digits. And to do that, they got to play a full 40 minutes. They've been a team that they'll either start good and give it up at the end or start slow and have to come back and fight their way back. They just don't have that full chemistry yet. And until they do, especially on the road, I don't want to be laying too many points with them. So for that reason, I lean towards the Dream plus the 7.5 points. Nothing in my pocket yet, but that's how I feel. Mr. Veno, any opinion from you there?
Yeah, I couldn't argue it either way, Skee. My initial feeling was let's try and play the Liberty because, boy, they let that game get away against the Sky, right? They had a huge lead. And Chicago, I don't think the Liberty respected them all that much, to tell you the truth, because they kind of just went about that game as if they knew all along they were going to win. And the next thing you know, they lost 86-82 as a sizable favorite. So with the group that they have, I would think that would equal bounce back However, the point spread's always the great equalizer. And to your point, and I agree with you totally that um, I'm on the same wavelength with you that I don't know that the Liberty, until we see full cohesion, can we go on the road and lay a bunch of points. Maybe you could shorten it up the first half. Maybe they come out with a burst because they are PO'd that they lost that game the other night and they come out. But I don't think that Atlanta's any pushover by any means here. So I didn't play at Skee. I would probably look Liberty first half, thinking that they will. They've had a couple extra days, as you just mentioned, because of the air quality in New York. They've had a couple extra days to kind of, chew on that loss. And I think they probably come out fired up here. So if I was going to go, I would look first half Liberty. Not sure after what I saw the other night, in agreement with you that we can trust them full game, trying to win by big margin.
All right, so we agree there. And what I said about, expecting them to play for the whole game, yeah, maybe you cut it in half there. Um, comment here. Sung Yi, Skee, you losing me money in WNBA. I mean, I'm 9-9 right now. Is that the end of the world? I started NBA much worse than that, and we're up over 100 units in NBA. So it's what Ajax said. It's too early to say that we have lost a couple in a row. We'll get back on track. It's the beginning of the season. Couple more comments. There you go. L says, Rob looking dapper in the sable black. Is that what it is?
It is black. Whether or not it's sable black, I'm not sure, but it's black.
Dan says, Dream might throw the first punch. Liberty Live has the best value. And I'll tell you this. I've been winning a lot of second half bets, whether it's WNBA, NBA, just sitting at the casino watching it and putting them second half bets in. And I think I'm gonna start releasing them to members here on the channel. But what you're saying there, Dan, if Atlanta does go up early or is keeping it close early, I could look at Liberty in their second half. So I'm not mad at that at all. Scott Foster in the building. I wonder if he's out there tonight. If there's an agenda, let me know, Scotty. You gonna be out there? He says, "Guess who's reffing today?" All right,
it looks just like him.
Yeah, that's him right there in the flesh, in the chat. Let's see. A couple more comments. Haitian, I appreciate you. Sung Yi said I hopped on after he went 4-0, so I'm 5-9. We'll get it back. Don't it's not the end of the world. We'll get it back. Let's go to the next game here, Rob. That will be 6:59, 6:60. Indiana Fever heading into Minnesota to take on the Lynx. Open Lynx -3. Still see threes out there. Total open 164.5, and that's down to 162. For the Fever, I don't really see anybody on the injury report. As far as the Lynx, out Aerial Powers game time decision. And it looks like Diamond Miller is still not going to be back here. So I feel a couple different ways because I do think the Fever has started to play a little bit better lately, but expecting them to win games like point spreads of 3 is pretty much, expecting them to go out there and handle business and win. I don't want to be in that situation. I would feel like an idiot at the end of the night if I have Fever to win and I see them getting smacked because I just know, the Fever are not that talented. The Lynx, they haven't been that great either, but they've started to play good basketball. They got their first win of the season. And I like to personally play on bad teams after winning a game. I was looking to play on the Lynx +14 versus Liberty for that reason, along with just not trusting the Liberty. That game got canceled. So a little bit extra rest for Minnesota. I think they start to, keep trending in the right direction. So lean Lynx -3. If I have to think about the total, I'll probably go over just because I don't really trust either one of these teams to play defense. But not sure which one I'm getting to the window with just yet. So either Lynx -3, over 162, disagreeing with the movement down. Any opinion from you on this one here, Rob?
Yeah, impossible for me, Skee. I would like to honestly either side in an underdog role. However, and I know Indiana's in the underdog role tonight, but the point spread, as you mentioned, I was hoping, you catch maybe 4.5 in this game, and I don't think you hesitate to play Indiana. Last 3 games, lose by 3 to Connecticut in Connecticut, lose by 4 to Las Vegas in a game where they actually had Las Vegas up until the very end. and then lose by 5 in overtime the other night to the Chicago Sky. Against the Chicago Sky, now they were getting 5. Here they're only getting 3. I guess maybe there's 2 points worth of difference between the Sky and Minnesota current form. But Minnesota, as you mentioned, playing well as of late. I just think the odds makers got this in too tight of a spot for me to want to try either side. I mean, I would almost feel foolish laying 3 with Minnesota if Indiana beats them outright because Indiana's playing so well lately. So I don't have a good argument for either side, except that, down the road in the future here, I'm going to be looking at, these two teams as underdogs because they do play competitive basketball. They're not getting, in the beginning of the season, they were getting beat up pretty good. But last 3-4 games, neither one of these teams getting beat by much.
I'm with you on that. And just to what you're saying, Jay Gill says Fever are teetering on a win. I agree. They could have won that last game. And just the same thing I said about Minnesota, playing on bad teams after a win, that could have very well been the Fever here. So I like to start backing these teams when I see them trending a little bit upwards. And just like you said, Rob, if the Fever win, I can see it going that way too. So I think the best way is what UCAPper is saying here. Fever, the number 1 offensive rated team the last 4 games. I don't understand how the total went down. I think best way to go for betting this one is to trust both teams to put the ball in the basket. So lean over 162, but nothing official just yet. Mike Lewis disagrees. He likes the links in the under, and he says he feels like the under is a trap, so that's why he's liking the over. Let's keep going. Next game up, we will go 661, 662. It'll be the Phoenix Mercury heading into Dallas to take on the Wings, or right back. They didn't have to head anywhere. These teams just played a couple days ago. They'll play again tonight. It opened Wings -4. They're now a 5-point favorite. Total open 167.5, and it's at 168. Even some 168.5 popping up now. As far as the injury report for both of these teams, you do have Skylar Diggins Smith, obviously still out. Mariah Jefferson, game time decision here. For the Wings, Crystal Dangerfield still out. No Diamond DeShields either. And McCowan, I think she went back overseas or somewhere else to go play, so they'll be without her. This is how I feel. I personally don't think the Wings are a team I just trust to win by margin. When they're catching points or, maybe a short favorite, I might be interested. But expecting them to win by multiple possessions, I just don't think they're that good. And this might sound kind of haterish, but I know she's a good player in general. I just personally don't like Arike Ogunbowale. She takes terrible shots and she'll shoot her team right out of the game. Like if you're watching the Wings game and you have money on it and you seeing her jacking like this 3 for 17 from the field, you're gonna be frustrated. And I just don't want to be in that situation. On the flip side, the Mercury, it's tough to put my money on them because they desperately need a point guard. They're turning the ball over possession after possession. Can't even make simple passes from the wing to the top of the key. So I really don't trust either one of these teams. In a situation like that, I could only look towards grabbing the points with the Mercury. And if I have to look at the total, I know the Wings like to play up tempo. The Mercury, it's tough to trust the offense without a real point guard, but I do lean towards the over. Mercury or over? What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I think if I was going to agree with anything there, Skee, I would agree with maybe the total over because the shooting was so bad in that matchup a couple nights ago. Just real quick, I mean, Phoenix goes 44% from the field. The other side goes 39. Phoenix only shoots 27% from 3. Dallas shoots 17.4. And that's bad shooting. And they still got to 163 despite not making shots. So couple of those fall, and all of a sudden you're over 168. So not something I'm thrilled with because you laid out a lot of the reasons why both of these offenses could stumble. But I think the fact that they were able to score 163 without making a whole bunch of shots kind of indicates to me that they could go over here. That game had a chance of being tied, I think, late to one of my UConn favorites, Diana Taurasi, missed a couple of threes there. But I would say if I had to play it, I'd probably try over. Oh, Akbar joining in now. I was going to ask if I was closer.
He said, If you put the camera a bit farther, you can do the show standing. I love it, man. We have a good time on here. Mike Lewis agrees, Ski. She is hot and cold, and when she is on, she's on. But when she's off, Dallas looks horrible. That's exactly what it is.
Mhm.
Damani says, Satu Sabali playing through an injury as well. She got hurt on a flagrant foul before half and toughed it out. That's a good point. And Dan says Sabali is a smoke show. I would agree. I would absolutely agree. We'll go over to the next game. 663, 664. That would be the Washington Mystics heading into Seattle to take on the Storm. The opener I see here is 11. I know yesterday there were some early lines of maybe around 7-ish or something. It's all the way up to minus 12 and a half, minus 13. Total open 156 and a half and kind of hanging around there. I see majority shops have 156. As far as an injury report for the Mystics, it looks like they're fully healthy. The Storm, though, they're going to be without their leader, their best player, the scorer, Joel Lloyd. So that is a big loss, and that's why you see this line skyrocket as high as it has. I feel a couple different ways, and before I mention it, let me just see what the first half number is. First half number, best you can get is minus 6.5, but there's a lot of sevens, even a 7.5 popping up as far as if you like the Mystic side. So Mystics off of a loss, I really want to back them. And whenever I'm backing the Mystics, I gotta take them in the first half for like the past three. You could look at it this season too, but like the past 2 or 3 years, they just have trouble closing games. They come out, they throw the first punch, everything is all good, and then I guess they just can't make the second half adjustments, or I don't know what it is. They do not close the games well. So to expect them to win by, you know, what is this, close to 2 touchdowns, just to say it like that, it doesn't make me feel comfortable at all. Now, granted, the Storm have been pretty bad so far this year, so could they? Absolutely, but I would not put my money on it. The only way to back Washington in this game at the current number is -7 in the first half. Now, with that said, the Storm, the same thing I was talking about with the Fever, same thing I'm talking about with the Lynx. The Storm coming off of a win, and before that, I was talking about the second half best too. I was watching that game, the Storm's last game. They were down. I think they scored 6 points in the first quarter. They were down like 20 something points. Started to make a little bit of a push, a comeback, and it carried over. They had the momentum to win that game in the second half. Even before that game, coaches, players talking about like, you know, kind of like how they were saying about the game earlier. They're teetering on a win. They're starting to see some improvements, and they just got to continue to do those things and start to finally win some games. So I like to back bad teams off of a win. That would be the Storm here. But to back the Storm without Joel Lloyd, it doesn't make me feel comfortable. All that said, only way to play this game is Mystics first half -7, Storm full game +13. That's the way I see the game going. As far as the total, I do think you have to look towards an under. 156 is a little bit on the low side, but Mystics are a really good defensive team. They were number one last year. I don't have the numbers in front of me for this year, but I know they're still a really good defensive team. And if they're a big favorite, they like to play a little bit more deliberate. Got that one from Jamal Murray of Veno. Play a little bit more deliberate, and
Mhm.
and they play good defense. The Storm, if they're missing their leading scorer, and they started to play a little bit better defense in that game in the last one. I think they can build on that. And this game stays under the 156, 156 and a half, whatever that best number you can get. So that's how I feel. Any opinion from you, Rob?
Yeah, I agree with that. I would try under here. I mean, that Jewel Lloyd piece is huge. I think that a couple of days ago, I saw that Jewel Lloyd, not only the best scorer on her team, but she was the leading scorer in the entire WNBA. That's a huge loss.
Super high
Seattle,
usage rate,
yeah,
but she's a
and
baller.
not a lot of alternative areas to go to for scoring, right? That's why that game went 66-63 the other night. Jewel Lloyd was present in that game, scored 25. Without her, I'm just not sure. Seattle's defense hasn't been great, Skee, but the Mystics, for their last 5, haven't gone over 156 and a half. So I think one more point where the under is concerned, if in fact they do get into a off to a huge lead. Third quarter, they're up big, and they start to pull starters. You could see a sluggish fourth quarter as well. There's a lot of reasons here to try and play this thing under 156 and a half. When I was doing the math in my head this morning, I thought, if in fact Washington wins with 80 points, then the other side has to get to 77 to beat me. I'm not sure that's happening. I mean, it's an easy cover if they do. Otherwise, Washington has to get to like 90 to 66, something in that mode, 90 to 67. I don't know that Washington's getting to 90 either here. So I like your idea of Jamal Murray deliberate. I like the game under 56, 56 and a half.
All right, we're lining up on that one. I like it. That one will, probably be in my pocket later on today. And we have one more game left in the W. That will be 665, 666. Don't like that one. Don't like that. Don't like that number. Chicago and Los Angeles Sparks. Open Sparks -1.5. It's up to 3.5, even a 4 popping up at DraftKings. Total open 163. And it's down as low as 158.5. So people coming in here liking the under. As far as the injury report, I see Jasmine Thomas, game time decision. She's likely to play in this one. So see her make her debut after, I believe, last year she tore her Achilles. So we'll see how she fits in with her new team tonight. And then Shanae Ogumake, game time decision as well. For Chicago, Gardner out, Harrison out. The rest of these people have been out for a while. So I think it doesn't really matter too much. I just feel like the Sky, after that overtime win, I know they have a little bit of rest too, but they're on the road here. Versus, I don't know. This is one of those games where it's tough. It's hard for me to explain, but I just really think the Sparks are a lot better than the Sky. I don't like the Sky off overtime. The Sparks are at home. It's the only way I can look in this one is the Sparks. Like I know I don't have the best way to articulate it, but just how I've been watching these teams, I think the Sky are overrated, and I think the Sparks are underrated. So I would only look towards back in LA minus the points. I don't even want to think about the total. Anything from you on the Sky and the Sparks, Rob?
Well, I may be sitting way back and my camera may be far away, but it looks to me like, according to our show, the Sparks are -12. And if that's the case, then the guy doing the banners needs to change that number, or else we're going to grab 12 points here with the Sky.
Oh, that's my bad. Yeah, I see it now. That's my bad. Sparks -12.
This is our make sure everybody's paying attention moment to this show here. Yeah, I'm with you, Skee. I mean, I was against Chicago the other night with Indiana, as I mentioned, and I'd like to be against them again here. LA's played some tough opponents as of late, and for Chicago, like you say, they're really overachieving at this point in time. If I just go back to where we started prior to the season or day one of the season, I don't think either of us expected this, and you know a lot more about it than I do, and I don't think you expected them to be this productive. At some point, that regression happens, and if you have one side at home that's run through some pretty good opponents and doesn't have a great record, at least not the record they expected, and then you have the other side that's overachieving, I tend to lean toward the regression theory. One side has to come up a little bit, the other side has to go down. That would put me on the Sparks. Obviously, the money is on the Sparks, so we'll see. I don't like the fact that they let that game get away the other night, but it could serve as motivation for this one at home.
Yeah, I like it. I'll probably try to find some way to back them. Currently thinking about it, maybe I do a ski line kind of deal for you people who are new. You cover your spread bet with the money line bet in a way that if they win but don't cover, you don't lose. If they cover, you win both bets. If they lose outright, you lose both. And I've had success betting that way in past years. So that's the way I think to bet this one. Mike Lewis says he likes the over in this game. See a couple more comments. Dan says it's a sign from the gods, -12, taking the lightning points. Yeah, only looking towards the Sparks way in that game. So we got through WNBA. Talked a little bit about all 5 games. Think we did a pretty solid job. Now let's move over to the association where we have a game 4. And I've been looking forward to talking this one out with you here, Rob. Um, Last game, I cashed with an under. I felt pretty stupid for taking the Nuggets first quarter money line instead of just taking them full game. I think I'm done with this first quarter stuff. First quarter didn't lose; it just pushed, thankfully. But Nuggets ended up winning that game. This next game, they opened -3 favorites. Now sitting at -3.5. Total open 211. I see anywhere. I mean, there's 210.5 out there. There's 211.5 out there. So make sure you line shop depending on what you like. So this is my initial thought here as far as the side. The Nuggets made a couple adjustments. They played really good. I feel like the Nuggets really could have won every single game in the series. But they didn't. It's 1-2. And it's hard for me to think any other way than to trust Spoelstra off of a loss, especially in the playoffs, because I know he's going to get his team up to play. I know this Miami team is gritty in general, and he always has some kind of adjustments. He always has something that's going to throw the other coach for a loop, the other team for a loop. So, do I know exactly what that adjustment is going to be? I do not. I think Miami will shoot a little bit better in this game, and I just lean towards the +3.5, hoping that Rob can maybe talk me on a little bit further. But what are you thinking about Game 4 as far as a side?
Yeah, well, where the side is concerned, it's hard to argue with what you said. You're right. Denver probably could have won all three games. They've really only been beaten in one quarter, the fourth quarter of game two, right? Otherwise, most of these quarters have been somewhat equal or gone toward Denver. So you've played 12 now. You give Miami a decisive edge in 1 out of 12. It leads you to believe the matchups are tough, but for the Heat, Skee, it all comes down to, again, whether or not they're going to make three-pointers and whether or not you talked about adjustments. And this has been running through my mind for 24 hours now, and I can't find any validation. I didn't see anything in press conferences where I could, say I firmly believe this is going to happen. But I don't think Eric Spoelstra can stay in half-court offense for 48 minutes anymore. It's just too hard. It's too hard for that team to score. Jimmy Butler gets defended really, really well. It was all he could do to get the 28 points the other day. And these three-point shooters, when Denver paid attention the other night, guess what happened? You wind up with Max Strus and Gabe Vincent going 3 of 17. Now, me, of course, being the handicapper better I am, I feel like 3 of 17 won't happen again. And I want to, in the worst way, be the contrarian guy who plays over in some way, shape, or form here. Now that this thing has been adjusted so far down. We're looking at 219 in game one. And now in game four, we're all the way down to 210.5 and even a first half over. Miami's got to shoot for that to happen. I don't think there's any way, to tell you the truth, that Miami can stop Denver from scoring. They actually got over their team total again the other night. I think it was 108. They got to 109. They're going to score. The question always becomes in these games, will Miami score? When they did, it was 111 to 108 and over the night we had it in game two. When they haven't, these games have been really low scoring. So, my plays tonight, and I haven't made any yet, Skee, are going to be made on faith and belief that Miami's going to pick up the tempo when available a little bit at home, especially, and that Miami's going to shoot the ball a little bit better from 3-point range. There is no Tyler Hero again, so that we don't even need to consider that. But these other guys, I think, can come through with a few more threes. So, last thing I'll add, Skee, is we know that Denver gets lackadaisical, right? They come off that huge performance the other night defensively. Do I believe they're going to give that defensive effort again here in game four? I'll tell you the truth. Maybe they, say it in the locker room, but I don't know that I can fully back that on the road with Denver in a 3-0 in the 3-0, or excuse me, the 2-1 position that they're in. I don't know. It's a roundabout way of saying I'm looking at over in some way, shape, or form. And as far as side is concerned, I probably would only look Miami, but I'm kind of afraid to pull the trigger because Denver seems to be a known commodity right now where offense is concerned and Miami is not.
Couple, well, Jay, really quick. He's asking for any SDQL trends for Game
Oh.
4. We've had a couple already in the chat from Cball44, so just scroll up and he shared some. But I disagree, Rob. And there was a comment here. Hendry says something we may be overlooking is Nuggets have to be thinking if we win this game, we close at home. Heat will be desperate to not go 3-1. Lots of defense and slow pace. I think if you play fast, that's more of a Denver kind of game. Like you're playing into the Nuggets' hands. Do you really want to be, in a game up and down the floor where they have more firepower on offense? I don't think that's the direction you have to go. I think you make it into more of a slow, physical, grinded out game, and the Heat have to win this game by playing defense. The Heat are not going to win this game by trying to play up tempo and outscore Denver. I just really don't see that happening. Now, outside of that, game 4, to what Hendry was saying, is desperation when a team is down. They know they cannot go down 3-1. The series is pretty much over. So you're gonna get all of that effort on that defensive end. And you look at Mike Malone, we talked about it in last game. He called his team out for their effort. I don't think you have to worry about the effort on the Denver side for the rest of the series either. So that makes me think that, both teams bring the defense. I'll listen a little bit more to what Mike Malone is saying. He was talking about, let me see here, find the quote. Talked about how they defended the first 2 games and how much better it was in game 3. He says, a big message for our guys is we want them to try and beat us with tough twos, eliminate the threes as much as possible. So that's what I saw out there on the court. Neither team even attempted as many threes as the prior game, and they didn't shoot it as well. So I think that's something that's going to continue here today. And just what you said. I mean, the other game, what was it? I was on the over in that game, but both teams shot, 49% from 3, 39% from 3, and only got to 219. They're not going to shoot anywhere near that again here tonight. And I just don't think they're going to get close to the 211 that's out there. So I think under is more to play. Anything you want to rebuttal there, Rob?
Well, I'll say this. I'll just clarify that when I mention Miami going up tempo, I don't mean 48 minutes, run, run, run. I mean, when they get the opportunity, they take the ball off a defensive rebound and they do crawl. They wanted it played in quicksand. Here's what we know off of 3 games. They have not been, no matter what they've done defensively, and it shouldn't take Eric Spoelstra 3 full games, 12 quarters to figure out what to do defensively. After 3 games, Denver shot 50.6, 52.0, and 51.3. That tells me Miami's got no more answers. It's game 4 right now. You got no answers. You have what you have. To answer the question about tough twos, if Miami's got to take tough twos, I don't want Miami plus 3.5 because who's going to make tough twos on that team? Jimmy has gone in and out with Aaron Gordon defending him. He's one guy that can make them. Bam is definitely getting his share. But there's no way in heck I want Max Strus taking tough twos, Gabe Vincent, Kyle Lowry, any of these guys, and hoping that I cover 3.5. So to me, they have to be able to shoot the basketball from 3-point range, and they have to get easier baskets because when Denver puts their mind to it, they're bigger, they're just as quick. And it's not Joe Mazzulla. It's not the Celtics. And I could agree. I think you made the point the other night that Eric Spoelstra is the better coach, but the separation, the gap between Spoelstra and Malone and Spoelstra and Mazzulla is light years. So it's just not the same edge as he had prior where he could pick that. And Denver just doesn't seem to have the guys that are weak mentally the way Boston was. Oh, we're down 12. Let's just start gunning up threes because, we're Boston and that's what we do. We shoot threes. Denver seems to do the right thing offensively all the time. Jamal Murray had another good quote the other day, Skee, before the game. They asked him, how did Jimmy defend you in game 2 and why was he so much tougher? And Jamal Murray said, Jimmy Butler's a good defender, but I got a few things in my bag. Don't worry about me. And he came out and scored 34. Those guys I trust taking tough twos. Jokic, Murray, Gordon at the basket. MPJ is out of this series. Finished business, right? 21 minutes again. I think to his credit, Michael Malone adjustment. Let's go to Bruce Brown and Christian Brown. And man, they play defense like crazy. They're active. All the things Michael Porter Jr. isn't, they are. So that's a little scary for Miami too with their 3-point shooters because those guys are the right size to guard them. And I'm probably putting a lot of faith in Miami to make threes here tonight, and maybe a little bit of extra faith in Denver to not put forth the same exact effort that they put forth defensively in Game 3. All that being said, if the other night when that game got to 219 and we sweated out to get our over, we were looking to go over 215 in that game. Here you are. If it 210 that's 9 points better than 210. There's a little more leeway there. I'll have to choose between first half, full game, something. In my mind, I feel like if Miami wants to come out quickly, maybe the first half gets there. But I put together these numbers real quick, Skee. First halves in this game, 101, 108, and 101. This number is 106. 2 wouldn't get there. Only 1 would. And that was Game 2. So it's hard. And maybe I'm betting more with gut feeling than sheer, proof in my analysis. But I feel like Miami's got to shoot to win the game, and they got to get easy baskets when they can. We'll see if they do.
Yeah, we will see how it shakes out. Let me ask you this, Rob. I bet over 5.5 games for the series, right? So even if I like Miami tonight, it doesn't really make sense to bet them. Do you agree?
I'm in the same boat, Skee. I'm in the same boat. I had series in 6. It's a different way of saying it, but I had series in 6, series in 7, got plus price on both. So, yeah, I agree with you. I'm in that same exact boat with the future.
Okay. So I guess that's how we're looking at this game. We did a pretty good job. I haven't really been doing too many props. And I didn't even look at the final box score for last game for the props, but the ones that we've been looking at, I know it was Bam. What was it? Bam. I mean, you can look at Bam all the way across the board.
Yeah.
For the Nuggets. I'm not even quite sure which way I would go this game. It's tough. I got to look for some unders. If I think it's more of an under game, I want to be betting. Maybe you bet Michael Porter Jr. under. Maybe you bet Bruce Brown over because he's going to be taking his minutes. Do you think that's the way you can maybe go in this one?
Yeah, Bruce Brown is a guy that's exceeded his PRA more often than not in these playoffs. Had a couple of down games recently, but last game, Bruce Brown, it was really Christian Brown, and I couldn't find any props on him. I don't think the odds makers wanted to put any up. He had 15, 4, and 1 for 20 total PRA. Yeah, I mean, 3 of the starters had double-doubles last game, and 2 of them had triple-doubles. Jokic and Murray, and Aaron Gordon had 11 and 10. So I think you're right, though, where Porter Jr. is concerned. Those minutes, I could just give you the minutes off the box score the other night. Bruce Brown played 28.5. Christian Brown played 19. Jeff Green got in there for 17.5. So those 3 guys seem to be divvying up minutes that are being lost by MPJ. And believe it or not, KCP not playing an awful lot. Didn't even play 30 minutes last game, 28. So that side is interesting. It looks like it's a Jokic and Murray deal at this point in time.
Yeah, and wouldn't be surprised to see them do what they did again in this one. So we did pretty good on this one. We talked some WNBA. We talked the NBA Game 4. We're not really looking at MLB today, and there is no hockey game. So I think it's about that time, Rob, that I asked if you have anything that you would like to promote, and maybe if there's a bet that you would like to share as far as the best bet for the show.
Let's get to promotion first here on Friday, wagertalk.com. For those of you, again, if you're not currently a member, just go over to wagertalk.com to the homepage, drop your email address. You will get free instant access to all the video and written content provided there each and every day. Just shows run from like 11 a.m. till 5:30 at night over there at wagertalk.com. And that's just the daily shows. There's other independent videos done by handicappers over there. So wagertalk.com. If you're interested in selection packages, you can find mine every day over there at wagertalk.com on my homepage. Major League Baseball has been very kind to me so far this year. 60% winners, little slower pace. Got lucky last night. I saw Ralph Michaels posted too. He had the same game. The Braves come up with a 9th inning home run and a 10th inning home run. But again, 60% for the season. So I just didn't like anything on the card today at this current time to be able to bring to the show for content. Let's get to something free or something that we think is playable for the show, Skee. And I'm going to go back to the game we talked about in the WNBA. I really think the Mystics in Seattle at 156.5 is priced too high total wise. Again, if I just do simple math, and I know we like to go to logic school on this show a little bit, and logic tells me that if Washington wins with 80, it's going to be very, very hard to get that game over. If Washington wins with 85, it's going to be really hard to get that thing over because Seattle's going to have to come to the table with 70 plus points without Jewel Lloyd. So I think we have the advantage of maybe Washington getting off to a big lead or having a big lead at the end of 3 and maybe resting some folks, some players. You actually had said that Washington has a tough time in second halves, which maybe the offense goes a little dry second half. To me, there's a lot of things that add up here to playing under 156.5. So that's the way I'm going to go for the show. Washington Mystics and Seattle Storm under 156.5.
And you know what? I love it, Rob. I'm going with the same best bet for the show. We were talking about it. I was looking at it already yesterday. I was looking at it even if Jewel Lloyd, or I was thinking about, targeting the under, even if Jewel Lloyd was going to be in. But to see her out, see a pretty decent total that, for a Washington game, I like it. I'll go, the best number I personally can get is 156. Haven't put it in yet, but I will put it in after the show. And appreciate you guys in the chat for rocking with this. You guys make this show extremely fun and exciting, and you guys share a lot of good information too. I saw the question about people asking for queries. I got Seaball did put a few queries in there in the chat, and I agree with what he's saying, so you can go check that out. And Rob, I appreciate you as well for taking the time to come cap these games and talk them out with me. I'll do a show with you any day of the week, anytime. So just always want to say I appreciate you. And no show tomorrow. Don't think we'll be back until Monday. So best of luck on all of your action, especially if you tail. And we'll catch you guys next week.